Alright, what's going on everybody? This is Z33 here back to a brand new video. It's been a while, been a month. I know I said, let's pause that, it's kind of annoying. I know I said that I said I bring you guys a lot more content with the NCAA football 25 game, which has not happened. I was planning on doing a dynasty, and a road to glory. That has not happened yet. We'll get on to it eventually. But I've been playing mostly on my new laptop, my old laptop. The keyboard broke, so I had to buy a new one. Much better graphics card, so I've been enjoying the use of that and playing PC games. I'm still trying to play the football game. But, new idea for some videos, as you know. I do NCAA March Madness recap for the men's basketball tournament. And I recap each day and all the games. I'm also a big college football fan. And so I thought, why not throughout the season, go through each week and recap the season and the games and upsets and how teams are faring. I'm also considering maybe also going live on Twitch and maybe doing like sports casting. For instance, I'll pick a certain game, maybe like the game of the week or a game my favorite team is playing, and then have the game up on my TV while I watch it. Obviously, I can't live stream the game itself because that would be copyright and I would get sued by the NCAA. But it would probably be me watching the game, and I would do play-by-play analysis instead of having you guys watch the actual professional announcers. But that's just a thought. But regardless, we're going to definitely be doing recaps of the week. Week one, college football is back. Extremely excited. The first game was actually in Europe. I forget the country that it was in that they played in, but it was in Europe. Number 10, Florida State versus Georgia Tech. This was a big upset. Georgia Tech winning in the fourth quarter with the go-ahead touchdown. Winning field goal, sorry, as time expires. DJ Ugalali, or however you say his name, only 193 yards. Florida State quarterback, as we know, he started out at Clemson, was supposed to be the next guy up after Trevor Lawrence. Had a horrible season. Got beat for the starting job by Cade Klubnik, who also kind of sucks. And as we know, Clemson is no longer a good team at all. But Florida State gets upset. Florida State last year with Jordan Travis was a very scary team and definitely should have been in the playoffs, but he got hurt. And they were a totally different team because both the backups were god awful. And they were hooting and hollering and crying that they should have been put in the playoffs. Then they went and played Georgia and lost 63-3. Now, mind you, a lot of their starters did not play, but that is just them quitting on the team and no real excuse. And then the whole offseason, they still complained. And then it bit them in the ass, so to speak, and that they got upset by Georgia Tech. But this will not be the first time we'll speak, not be the last time we speak about Florida State. Let's move on. Then we've got Murray State and Missouri. Missouri blows them out. Missouri last year went 11-2, had an incredible season. They have not been good in a while. Great new coach, newer coach, great quarterback, great receiver. And they're looking to do some damage in the Big 12 this year. I feel like they've gotten better defense, a bit better offense as well. So we'll see what they can do this year. I doubt they'll do much. Texas is in the Big 12, is in the SEC as well, in Oklahoma, but definitely will be bowl eligible, and definitely will probably not in the 12th team playoff, but not 25 at the end of the season for sure. Utah and Southern Iowa 49-0. That's a bit lower than expected. Cam Rising, I think in his 7th year of college, I thought last year that Utah was going to be a playoff team with him. So this year, definitely look for Utah to be a playoff team. I don't know which conference they're in because, as we all know, the Pac-12 is no more. I think they joined the Big 12, so I think that Utah could definitely clear house in the Big 12. They're personally my favorites doing the Big 12. Kansas and Linwood. Yeah, another good quarterback for Kansas. Daniels, he was actually hurt last year versus Texas when we blew them out of the water. But again, much easier Big 12, so Kansas should be a top 25 team at the end of the year. Then we've got NC State versus Western Carolina, only winning 38-21. This was a very close game all the way to the fourth quarter. As you can see, NC State put up 21 unanswered. So Grayson McCall, who is a transfer in from West Carolina, but they got a lot of work to do if they're gonna do better, because they gotta do better than this. So yikes. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they're not even ranked after that performance against that bad of a team. Oklahoma and Temple. Oklahoma wins 51-3, not surprising. Jackson Arnold only 141 yards, but 4 touchdowns. Kind of suspect. Oklahoma, along with Texas, has moved to the SEC. Personally, I think Oklahoma is going to get absolutely smacked in the SEC. I don't think they're going to have a good year. And this is really embarrassing. Georgia beats Clemson 34-3. Clemson has no transfer players. Dabo Swinney refuses to use the transfer portal, and it's been bitten him in the butt. Clemson probably will not be ranked after this game, after getting blown out. Let's go ahead and go to the game cast real quick. Okay, Klubnik. 142 yards, only and 1 interception, no touchdown, obviously. Not a very good quarterback. Georgia looks as transpired. Always a great team. You know, I think with Clemson, for most of their tenure and history as a football program, they have not been good at all. They've been the little brother, essentially. In that area of football. But Dabo Swinney came around. They won a championship. They won 2 championships. But I think what we realized after the past couple of years was that Dabo Swinney was not the answer at Clemson. It was the assistant coach, the defensive coach, who now is the head coach at Oklahoma, Brett Venables. He was the defensive guru and a great recruiter, and that ever since he's left, Clemson has gone backwards and backwards and backwards, and are now a subpar ACC team. Like, they probably won't even compete for the ACC championship this year. I gotta be real with you. And Dabo Swinney will probably be out in the next year or two at head coach. So Clemson is probably no longer going to be very good for a couple decades. I gotta be real with you. So Clemson fans, go find a box to live in, because it's going to get uglier. Ohio State and Akron, 52-6. The freshman receiver right here, Smith, is as expected. Unbelievable player. Will Howard, coming in from Kansas State, had a great game. Definitely an upgrade from Kyle McCord. Ohio State, I think, will definitely beat Michigan this year. Might go undefeated. Will be in the playoff, guarantee. Oregon, Idaho. This was a very close game. Idaho was up at one point, and it looks like they might lose. Dylan Gabriel, as we all know, he was the starting quarterback on the 2017 UCF team that went undefeated and were, quote-unquote, cheated out of the playoffs when they would have got blown out. Self-proclaimed national champions, which is an absolute idiocracy. He actually tore his ACL. Transferred to Oklahoma last year. Did not have a good time with them. Is now in Oregon. He actually is the Heisman's favorite, but from watching that game, I'm not too sure. He had 380 yards, but again, 24-14 against Idaho. They probably will drop a couple of rankings, and after that, people were thinking that they might not win the Big Ten. I think they moved the Big Ten. Yeah, they did. All the conferences are absolutely idiotic. I hate the conferences. You have a team on the West Coast, on the ACC, the Atlantic Coastal Conference. That is ridiculous. Texas, 52-0 against Colorado State. Quinn Ewers had a great game. Let's go ahead and look at this real quick. Let's go ahead and look at the box score. Arch Manning got his first touchdown in this game. I'm a Texas fan, by the way, guys. 5-6, 95 yards. Average 15, 1 touchdown. 1 incompletion. Also had a rushing touchdown. Jadon Blue only had 57 yards. I was hoping that he would get around 100. great, as we all know, C.J. Baxter was hurt before the season even began. Wingo actually was the highest receiver. Isaiah Bond at 61. Jonte Cook the second at 56. In the football game, he wasn't a starter, but he obviously is now. Golden at 56. Colorado State, I honestly thought at this point, I thought Colorado State was going to be a trap game. They have a good quarterback and a great receiver. Corey Horton only had 31 yards. Texas secondary looks great. D-line looks great. Offense, obviously, is amazing. I'm really hoping that Texas does something crazy this year. I'm personally going to a game against ULM versus Louisiana Monroe, so that should be exciting. Alabama, Western Kentucky. This game started out in the very couple minutes not so good. Jay Milroe was missing targets, had a fumble. Western Kentucky just sucks. Finally ended up being 63-0. First game under new coach DeBauer, however you say his name, and they're looking pretty good. Again, they're playing Western Kentucky, so we'll see what happens. The SEC is stacked this year, so I personally don't think that Alabama will win the SEC. Don't think they'll be a playoff team either, but we'll see what happens. You never know with Alabama. Ole Miss and Furman, 76-0. It's crazy. Jackson Dart, 408 yards, 5 touchdowns. Could be a very, very, very scary team right here. Ole Miss. Again, don't think they'll win the SEC. Maybe finish third behind Texas and Georgia. But yeah, and this was the game of the week. Notre Dame at A&M. Also, the first game under the new coach from A&M comes over from Duke after bringing Duke back up to a good team. Defensive battle to that fourth quarter. Notre Dame's offensive line started pounding. Now, here's the thing about Notre Dame's offensive line. Before this game, they had a total of 6 starts between them, and they still were able to dominate Texas A&M D-line, which is very prolific. And in the fourth quarter, it was Notre Dame by a long shot. They were starting to run very, very well. As you can see, the Notre Dame running back had 91 yards, only 14 carries, and it got out of hand at the end. Texas A&M also has probably the worst quarterback in the league. This guy, Wegman, 13 of 30 for 100 yards and 2 interceptions. Had an injury last year, was out the whole year. The dude was awful. Probably should have stuck with baseball. Definitely for sure the worst. I'll take that back. He is the second worst quarterback amongst the Power 5 conferences. Ukulele is number 1. He's number 2. So those are probably one of the top 2 worst quarterbacks in the entire nation, let alone the Power 5. So if I were one of those coaches, I'm sending him to the bench. Otherwise, A&M might not even make a bowl game this year. Penn State and West Virginia. People thought this game would be, well, West Virginia fans thought this would be a lot closer, and it wasn't. It was 34-12. Penn State got a much better quarterback. I think they are definitely improved, and I think that maybe this year they might beat Michigan and might be the number 2 team behind Ohio State. Still think they have a chance to beat Ohio State, but number 2 is better than number 3 or 4, and maybe make the playoffs as a 12 seed. Who knows? Michigan, Fresno State only won 30-10. This was also much closer. As you can see, they scored 17 points in the fourth quarter. They were actually down and looking to actually lose. Fresno State quarterback, as you can see, had 235 yards, 2 interceptions. Warren, 118 yards. Where is Donovan Edwards? Only had 27 yards. He was supposed to be the best running back in the nation. So Michigan's not answered. They're playing Texas next week, and I have a feeling they might get smacked, even though they're going to be at home. This was a unbelievably horrid performance. Again, under the new head coach, as we all know, Jim Harbaugh left to go back to the NFL to coach the Chargers, and of course all the scandals. But Michigan, yikes! If this is any indication of this season, they are going to get smacked by Ohio State and Texas. So definitely not a playoff team by any means. Tennessee, 69-3. Again, very, very good offensively, but we'll see what they can do against tougher SEC opponents. The SEC is so unbelievably stacked this year. South Dakota State was the FCS champion of last year, beating North Dakota State. They're in-state. They're out-of-state. Well, South Dakota, North Dakota, right next to each other, lost to Oklahoma State, 44-20. Ollie Gordon had 104 yards. He is as described because he's the best running back in the nation. Maybe so. Kansas State with the new player Avery Johnson. I believe he was the backup last year. They won 41-6 against UT Martin. Probably gonna definitely enjoy a Texas-Oklahoma-less Big 12 this year. Maybe compete for that championship, and then a play spot on the playoffs. Miami versus Florida. Another game people thought were probably going to be much, much closer, but was a blowout, 41-17 at the Swamp. Florida is awful. They might not win a game this year in the SEC. They are absolutely awful. Cam Ward, people think he might be one of the Heisman favorites and one of the best quarterbacks in the nation, and he proved that perhaps that is a correct sentiment. Mexico and Arizona, 61-39. As you can see at the half, it was close, and then they poured it on him. He had 422 yards and 4 touchdowns. This, in my personal opinion, is the Heisman favorite. They're in the Big 12. I think that they will go undefeated. I think they will win the Big 12. He'll be the Heisman favorite. They'll go into the playoffs and then get smacked, is my prediction for Arizona. As you all know, their coach actually left to go to Washington to replace the Washington coach who went to Bama. Personally, I think that was a unbelievably stupid move because we all know Washington's moving to the Big 10. Much more competitive conference. Arizona, after the dissolution of the Pac-12, is now in the Big 12, which is a much, much weaker conference now. And you have arguably the best quarterback and one of the best receivers, 304 yards. Why would you leave that? Like, you're guaranteed to be competing for the Big 12 championship every year. So, big mistake, in my opinion, for that coach. But hey, more money. Washington technically a bigger school, but I personally hope that he does not find success there for betraying his team. Iowa, Illinois State, 40-0. Cade McNamara, I believe, is coming from Michigan. That was the backup. Iowa obviously has one of the best defenses in the nation. With McNamara, maybe they'll have a decent offense, which then in turn will make them a much better team. But we'll see. USC beats LSU at Death Valley. Thought the upset. Big shocker here. I am not a USC fan by any means. I do not like Lincoln Riley. But Brian Kelly, as we all know, came from Notre Dame to LSU. He has not had a good start to his LSU tenure. Very overrated coach. LSU is going to have a tough year this year, I think, and he might be out of a job at the end of the season or be on the hot seat. And then finally, yesterday, Florida State loses again, gets smacked by Boston College, who normally is one of the worst teams in the ACC. Florida State might not win a game this year. Not even a single one. And that head coach is going to be gone. All that talk they did about, they shouldn't be the playoffs. Now they probably are the worst team. One of the worst teams in the entire nation. You couldn't write any better. So, it sucks to be a Florida State fan, but that is week 1. Going ahead into week 2, we got the big game of the year, or of the week, Texas at Michigan. We've got another big game right here, Arkansas, Oklahoma State. Should be a really competitive one. Kansas State and Tulane. Tulane is one of those really, really strong non-Power 5 teams. They could beat Kansas State. Georgia Tech and Syracuse. They're ranked. So they have updated it. Notre Dame drops to 5. Baylor and Utah. Iowa and Iowa State. Look at that. In-state rivalry. South Florida. Almost beat Alabama last year. We'll see what they do this year. That's going to happen again. Tennessee and NC State. I think Tennessee's going to rip NC State to shreds. Houston is no longer the non-Power 5 team it used to be. They're absolute dog water. App State is going to beat Clemson. Mark my words. Boise State is going to beat Oregon. Mark my words. Let's go to the standings real quick and see the updated after the week 1. Why would I do conferences? Standings. Oh, rankings. Apologies, not standings. Here we go. AP. So we've got Georgia stays number 1, Ohio State stays number 2, Texas jumps Oregon up to number 3, Alabama goes up 1 to 4, Notre Dame goes up 2 to 5, Ole Miss stays where they are at 6, Oregon drops 4 after almost losing to 7, Penn State stays, Missouri up 2 to 9, Michigan down 1 to 10, Utah just outside the top 10 at 1, Miami jumps 7 spots. That's number 12, and then USC up 10 rankings to 13. Tennessee up 1, Oklahoma up 1, Oklahoma State up 1. It's funny how both those teams are right next to each other. Kansas State up 1, LSU down 5 spots. I could see it. Kansas up 3 to 19, Arizona up 1. They should be ranked a lot higher. I'm telling you right now, Arizona was going to win the Big 12 and will be in the playoffs. Iowa up 4. Louisville wasn't ranked, they now are. Georgia Tech, obviously very deserving, beat Florida State. Not ranked, now they are. NC State. Clemson is still at top 25. That's obviously biased because of what Clemson has been, but they should be out. As we all know, Florida State and A&M dropped from the rankings. A&M is actually second, is at 26. I'm going to be real. I would put A&M at 25 over Clemson. I would put Boston College at 25 over Clemson. I would put Boise State over Clemson and Iowa and Memphis and Nebraska and Edison. I would put every team up to here. From A&M to Wisconsin, I will put them above. From A&M to Wisconsin, I'll put them above Clemson. So yeah, that's the first week. You guys are ready for more college football. I love college football. I think it's better than NFL. NFL stands for No Fun League. There's more. The atmosphere is better. The passion. Everything's better about college football. And if you disagree, well, you're wrong. The NFL, honestly, is one of the most boring sports. NBA and NFL are completely boring. Going to the games is not fun. Crazy expensive. The Super Bowl is a joke. Anyways, that's week 1. Can't wait for week 2. I'll see you guys in the next video. Go ahead and drop down your predictions for the season in the comments below. And once again, if you have any news about your programs in NCAA Football 25, the video game, go ahead and do those as well. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe for more content. See you guys in the next episode. Adios, and until next time, stay frosty.